Greetings and salutations, horror movie fans. My name is Gilbert your bar, and welcome back to the Attic Review. Okay, last time we spoke, we talked about the OG black slasher, okay? We're talking about a guy that roamed Cabrini Green projects. You say his name 5 times and we get this beautiful chocolate man, Candyman, ready to eviscerate and slash and dust motherfuckers all over the place. I mean, it was a bloody mess everywhere, okay? So the Seaman did work. And you would think that, nobody would want to say his name anymore. Wrong. Because we're going to find out that the area around Cabrini Green, for some reason, cannot get enough of this guy. They still have a sweet tooth for this son of a bitch because they keep saying his name. And we're going to find out there's more to the legend that we didn't know about, of course. So we're going to find out some new things. And speaking of new, we're going to go back to Cabrini Green. However, it's newly gentrified, and in the heart of this, we're going to find out our characters and the next chapters of this spiritual sequel. So we're talking about the newly released, I'm kidding, I don't have a DVD yet, but let's look at the cool poster for the 2021 release of Candyman. I really dig that poster because the outfit right there already shows a really cool homage to the original while getting ready to tell its own story. So this movie is a spiritual sequel, like I mentioned earlier. I really like that term because at the end of Candyman, I personally thought it had a good enough ending that maybe wouldn't constitute the need for any more sequels. But, always needing to make more money for the studio, they spawned, I think, 2 more sequels, so there's 2 and 3. Shamefully, admittedly, I've never seen those, but I guess it doesn't really matter because, again, the spiritual sequel, this takes the same route that Halloween did, the 2018 release, where it kind of created its own timeline and just went from the original, now this is the true sequel, not everything else in between. So truly moving past from 1992 to now, we're going to discover a newly gentrified Cabrini Green. Now, the area is a lot nicer, however, you cannot scrub away the sins of the past. And these stories may not be told as much, but they're still around. And now we're going to get into how the legend of Candyman keeps going. The reason for that little mid-burst laugh was that, okay, how do I say this without coming off as racist? Normally, the bad things in horror movie begin, the catalyst is usually reserved for my Anglo-Saxon friends, okay? For example, in Evil Dead, they say, do not read this Book of the Dead. I'm gonna read it, Amityville Horror, don't buy that house, or you find out that it's haunted, we're gonna stay. Normally those bad choices are reserved for my Caucasian friends. This movie though, something different happens. Taking in all the sights, sounds, smells, whatever of the newly minted Cabrini Green, we run into Troy. Troy's not a major character, but goddamn is he funny as hell. But Troy is on his way to have dinner with his sister Brianna, played by the beautiful Tiana Paris, and she is dating Mr. Anthony McCoy, our lead character, and he's played by Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, and you gorgeous specimen of what God can make. I mean, look at this dude. I'm just saying, in an alternate world, if Yahya Abdul-Mateen II were to be say Candyman's name 5 times, Candyman's probably stretching out somewhere alright, say it again, alright, 5th time, alright, this mother, holy shit! As he sees this guy, I'm probably sure he's I'm gonna step out, alright, how'd you get your traps like that? You know what, dude, have a good day. But that's not the world we live in, so let's get on with the Candyman. So in the spirit of getting on with the Candyman tales, like I said, normally this is reserved for my Caucasian friends. We saw in the original Candyman, Helen decided to say the name 5 times and spark this whole shit. This time though, Troy tells the story and instantly inceptions poor Anthony McCoy into thinking about the legend and what Cabrini Green holds. To add to that fucking mystique, he meets old Burke. Okay, and Burke is real eager to tell this young blood about the true history of Cabrini Green. And in a sense, maybe Candyman might be a necessary evil for Cabrini Green, especially in the face of gentrification. And talking about some of the other social commentary, which sometimes it's a little heavily layered on, But again, what's a horror movie without some social commentary? You know what I'm saying? Now, do you remember in The Matrix after Neo had that download of all that shit in his head and he wakes up and he's like, I know Kung Fu. It's like after Anthony McCoy got his head filled with Troy's story and then Burke's brutal history of the area, it's like he woke up and he's like, I know about Candyman. And the man like becomes possessed, alright? He wants to start going ham on his art, feeling very inspired, but it's confusing a lot of people, especially his girlfriend, alright? I mean, they have a very lavish, almost picture-perfect lifestyle. He's an emerging star in the art world. She is a prominent person in the art world. Things are going great, so now, what better time than for Candyman to step in? With his newfound muse turning into a deadly obsession, he is now beginning the dangerous same path that Helen from the original Candyman took. Alright, and sadly, we see what happened. She became a legend herself, Bonfire Helen. Everything that we saw in the first one of her trying to be almost like the protagonist, it wasn't told in the history books later on. She actually looked like the bad person. And now, it looks like Anthony's starting to share that same fate. Incidents are starting to happen as a result of his work, and now people are starting to like, what's this connection between the newfound violence and Anthony's work? And most of all, what is Anthony's connection to Cabrini Green? With all the information that I've just given you guys, that is the essential basic synopsis, alright? We got Anthony McCoy back in a gentrified Cabrini Green, and Candyman's back. And I'm not going to say any more until I get to the fun part. So let's talk about how I like the movie. Goes without saying my admiration for the groundbreaking 1992 version. Immaculate film. Same cannot be said for the 2021 release of Candyman. Hardcore and casual fans, of the genre will tell you what a powerhouse Candyman is. Now, when you create such a legacy and such a name, when you're creating a sequel, especially a spiritual sequel in that sense, I can't even imagine the pressure, because you have to do a few things. You have to pay wonderful tribute to the original, but at the same time, you've got to find your identity and create your own story to enhance it and not just rely on the safety net that this movie provided for you. I want to say the movie certainly felt that pressure because they had not 2 but 3 writers on here. What happens is, what I like to say is, the viewer now becomes the parents, and now we have our 3 writers are going to be like the children in a sense, and that they have wonderful ideas and they're all yelling and showing you what they have, and it's all individually great stuff, but when you throw all of it out at once, it's like it's overwhelming and you can't focus on what you're trying to say. As a result of all of that, I didn't mind the social commentary, because there is stuff like that made me, wow, really aware of like the concept of ghettos. They said some great stuff in there that I had never thought about. And there's still some stuff on police brutality as well, but this movie forgot that it was also a horror movie first. I think when you make these movies, social commentary is very important, don't get me wrong. However, don't forget you're making a horror movie. And this, like I said, this film in general just didn't have its identity because of the bar just set so high from the original. However, despite my criticisms of the film here and there, I can't say that overall I hated the movie. I can't say that I did enjoy it, okay? I thought the third act was, could have used some work, but the movie itself had great individual parts, which I can say made up for it and made it very enjoyable to watch. The kills, yeah, they were gory, but it wasn't that caught my attention. It was the setup, the directing of it, how they shot it and wanted you to see how the kills were happening. I really enjoyed what the film did with that. So speaking of enjoyable parts, let's get to the motherfucking fun parts. If you're new to this channel, the next part, which I call the fun part, will contain spoilers, okay? I'm going to talk about what I really enjoyed in the film, and that unfortunately will have to have me talking about specific scenes in the movie. So if you haven't seen the film, come back to this after you've seen it. Everyone else, let's go. Again, you've been thoroughly warned, okay? 3 fun parts, and then the last part I'm going to talk about is just my admiration for the movie. I know I said some negative things, but I want to get into what I really admired about the film, but I have to say a lot of spoilers, so let's get to the first fun part. Like, for real, I really enjoyed this part. Watching it in the theater, as soon as I saw it, I was like, I gotta tell these motherfuckers about it. We've got Anthony McCoy after his work was ripped to pieces by this art critic. She invites him back to her place to kind of talk about it now. Her beautiful, nice high-rise apartment. She wants to talk about his work now that he's being mentioned all over the news. And he's just like, whoa, 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 you just said my shit was trash earlier. Now you want to talk about me. You know what? To really appreciate my work, you should say his name. Say it 5 times, you should say it. And she's like, no. And he's like, come on, I dare you. Like, when he said it, I started laughing so hard. And she goes off to the restroom. Now, he's been plagued by images of Candyman running around as it is. He sees it in the reflection again, and all this is happening. And then he sees her pop out. He turns around. We see her. We see her pop out of the door, so we're like, okay, maybe she didn't say it. He's freaking out. Anthony's like, okay, I've got to get out of here. Leaves her apartment. As he's leaving, though, oh man. This is where it's really fun, because now we're taken to the outside of the apartment, and we're watching from outside. We're zooming out. We see him leave the place, and he's leaving. We see her come around, the art critic. She's right there. Now we're backing out. We're seeing from the outside of the building. We see like a bird's view of her, and as we're doing this, we see her all of a sudden get violently picked up, smashed on the window. I mean, some bad stuff's happening, and the camera's still pulling away, but you see her drug across, and all you see is this bloody streak. And we're getting further and further away, and this damage just happening. It really reminded me of that scene in Child's Play 2, where he beats the shit out of that teacher, and we're seeing it from afar. This part in Candyman was super cool. This second fun part for me doesn't even involve a death scene, which is, you know, some of our favorite parts in these movies. That's why we watch them. No. This one involves the beginning of the film, but I didn't want to take that away from you. So the beginning of the film is like just a lovely little nod to the past, and they are telling the story. It's when Troy's telling the story to Anthony and Brianna, and he's recapping Candyman. But like I said earlier, it wasn't the way that we saw it. He's actually saying out like Helen was the bad person, and that was the new urban legend. Bonfire Helen was her name. And you know, if you watch the original, you're like, that's not how it played out in our eyes. According to the residents of Cabrini Green, this white woman snapped and fucking murdered everybody. And I was watching this the whole time like, holy shit. What's, you know, like the game of telephone, how it goes wrong like that. These oral traditional stories were being passed down to make her perceived as the bad person, which I was like, I could totally see it. Okay, the third fun part, a lot of fun to watch. However, you've seen this movie, I hope, because otherwise you shouldn't be listening to this part. Was anybody else confused? Like, this came out of fucking nowhere. I know that this teenage girl was at the art show, and she was doing it. She was like looking at the art, took a picture. Okay. They put this off for so long that I fucking forgot about her. So she just randomly shows up again, and you know these are scenes to pad their body count numbers, which I'm not mad at. So we see this girl walk into the bathroom with like 4 or 5 of her other little cohorts. They're being little shits, they're being brats, alright? She all of a sudden is like, I'm bored, and wants to be like, hey, you guys know what Candyman is? So she gets her little lemming friends all lined up, and they look in the mirror and they begin chanting. They're like, Candyman, Candyman. One of them runs out, and everyone started laughing. I thought it was funny because you see these movies, you're like, get the fuck out. And she actually cut the fuck out. But like I mentioned, that chick left after like the third one, which gets me thinking real quick. What's the rules on saying Candyman, alright? Because that's bullshit. If I'm somewhere, let's say here, I'm in my mirror right there, and I'm like, I say it 3 times. I leave it be. Come back later on, I'm doing rehearsals for this, and I say it 2 more times. Bam, he gets me? That's not fucking fair. I forgot about that. Do I have to say it within like 30 seconds or something? Or what if I say it 4 times and somebody else says it? Does that count? What if I say it like 6 times real fast? Like, what if I say the 5th one and say it real fast? Like, haha! I don't get how that works. But it doesn't matter how it works, because they say the name 5 times. they're thinking, all right, whatever, horse crap. And it's what I like about this too. I like death scenes during the day, because normally during the day you feel safe in horror movies, with the exception of like Midsummer. But here, the girls are trying to get out. They're like, oh my god, no, it's locked. One of the girls that's in the stall, she's just covering up as she's about to hear and kind of see the mayhem that goes on. You hear some nasty sounds coming out. You see a lot of blood, and you see it from different perspectives. Like one of the girls drops her little compact mirrors. She drops it, and then we get like a cool camera angle from there of seeing Candyman do what Candyman does. And I'm glad I didn't see any trailers for this movie, because I saw a trailer later on, and I would have been really peeved if that had been given away. So yes, this was a very fun part for me. Like I said, this isn't even really a fun part, just an overall fun mood that I had with the movie. Being such a fan of Candyman, I knew the cast names pretty well, so when I first saw Vanessa Williams at the beginning of the opening credits, I was like, she's in this. She was the mother in Candyman. She was the mother of the baby that was taken, known as Anthony McCoy, so I was just giddy from the beginning that it really tightened. It really was spiritual. Alright, I liked it. But I was sad that they revealed Anthony McCoy's real name so fast. I was like, no, don't do that. But I mean, I guess maybe the casual viewer hopefully didn't catch on to that, but I know I fell in love with it, because you're playing off of the original in a good way. You were trying to find your identity, which you didn't do, but you tried, and that's what I really liked about the movie, was its effort. All clear. No more spoilers. Synopsis is done. Candyman 2021, is it the best film that I've seen this year? No. Even within the past 2, 3, 4, 5 years. No. But are you gonna hate it? No! The movie is still a lot of fun. Great music. Acting was great in the first half. Great chemistry at the beginning. It kind of fizzled in the third act, but still, I think it has enough energy to really take it to the final act. Even if you don't enjoy it, maybe you will. I don't know. I just wasn't a big fan of how it kind of ended. However, I think that the middle act, the second act, is strong enough to catch your attention and really enjoy the director's slash and stab at capturing the fear that was originally placed in us from the original Candyman. So go get your sweet tooth fix and go check out the new Candyman in theaters right now. Before you do that, please do me a favor. Click like and subscribe and share. Tell your friends, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. My name is Gilbert Ybarra. Thank you for watching the Attic Review. Smile, Tiger.